Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Jurassic World Cinematics. Before we begin today's episode, I would like to ask you to please also take a look at my gaming review YouTube channel called Carnotaurus Reviews. You can find the link to that channel in the description down below. I do reviews of both old and new games, and you can even request some reviews, including of course, dinosaur games. So please take a look at my channel Carnotaurus Reviews, and if you like what you see, then please subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the episode. The Jurassic Park was now coming along very nicely. It had a whole assortment of creatures that even weren't from the Jurassic period itself. There were still some high rollers missing, like the T-Rex, the Giganotosaurus, and the possibility of hybrids being reintroduced. Especially with modified genes, the boundaries seemed endless for what was possible to introduce in the park. The park already had over 20 different creatures on display, which wasn't much compared to other zoos, but these creatures were of course very special. It seemed that every new addition got their time in the spotlight, from the tiny critters to the medium-sized carnivores. The path that you could take through the zoo would send you on different routes, so you could see what you wanted to see at your own leisure. More and more guests were flying in each time as well, to see all these wondrous ancient creatures, and for a while, things were good. There were still a lot of dinosaurs to be added, but almost every type was now represented. The T-Rex will be introduced very soon, but the scientists were still discussing on how they would modify it to be on display. The aviation birdcage also would still need to be introduced, so there was still room to experiment with. But since those plans were still on the horizon, for now, they were looking at different creatures. Maybe a smaller carnivore. Three new pens were built and reserved, and the money holders wanted to put some more focus on the meat-eating kind. Introducing two large predators would probably result in them competing for press and attention, and so first a small one would be added in the form of the Dilophosaurus. This at first glance innocent looking creature can lead up to one nasty death. It uses its colorful frills around its neck for both dueling, mating rituals, and when it feels threatened or is on the hunt. The sound that it makes when it jitters and the aggressive grunt is enough to give anyone nightmares. The Dilophosaurus has been known as a scavenger due to its small size, but it's also not uncommon to see them in a small group. If they are found in a group, they can be seen performing raptor-like behavior when hunting in a pack, but far less efficient and strategic. One might observe a flanking maneuver by one of the dinosaurs, but that's about it. They spit paralyzing venom that will blind any creature to avoid them from running. Since their jaws aren't that wide and powerful, the biting and killing that follows often takes a long and agonizing time. Yeah, getting eaten by the Dilophosaurus is definitely not as quick as getting eaten by a Spinosaurus. Despite the Dilophosaurus not displaying as high intelligence as the raptors, one of them actually did something very extraordinary when the rangers came in to sedate them. One of the dinosaurs pretended to fall asleep, meaning it understood what the Rangers were trying to do, only to stand up moments later to make a run for it, but to no avail. They were then transported to their new hub, which was made to be wide at the sides so that the people could see them in case they needed to feed or drink. In the middle, there was a small but thick patch of forest where the dinosaurs could hide and play in if they wanted to feel more safe. The Dilophosaurus loved hiding in the thick vegetation and observed from a distance. And so these new dinosaurs were also added to the mix, and the money holders now believed it was time to introduce another large carnivore. Since the Dilophosaurus was small and so unique, it could still hold its own, even with this new introduction right in the pen next to it. The next dinosaur to be introduced was the Carnotaurus, or Carnotaur. This bull-like predator was only recently added in the previous safari and did not see the light of day in the original park. But for this one, the money holders wanted something different. They thought that the look of the other was a bit youthful, and when they saw the experiments of what the scientists tried to do with the Carnotaurus, their eye fell on an experiment where they tried to imitate the look of the Carnotaur from the Disney movie Dinosaur. The antagonistic look and beautiful color pattern combined with the horns and spikes made the Carnotaur look so much more fearsome, more like a devil than a bull, and it was perfect for the park. A pair of Carnotaurs were introduced, just like the movie. But they did mess around a bit with the genes, and the second Carnotaur did not have as interesting a color pattern as the first one did. When the Rangers came in to sedate them, they roared at the jeeps, but never seemed to attempt anything beyond that. The Carnotaurs eventually went down and the transportation was underway. The pen they had set up assured they had a lot of room to run around in. Their strong legs meant they could run and sprint for a good amount of time, and with their size it was necessary, since hiding often wasn't an option. When the Carnotaur couple had arrived, one of them had incredible hunger and the other incredible thirst. The scientists and rangers thought this was first a coincidence, but then later, they thought it might have to do with a certain ranking order amongst the two. In the following days, they were never seen eating together, meaning that they might be taking turns on who gets to eat. It was pretty rare to see this, and they wondered what would happen if more Carnotaurs were introduced. And with the Carnotaur couple now finally being in the park, they received a lot of attention and love by all the audience members. Many felt nostalgic due to their looks inspired by the movie, while others thought they actually looked very frightening. They were definitely amongst the more unique looking predators in the park. And for the final pen that was built and reserved over the past few months, another set of herbivores would be brought over. With its wide size, another larger herbivore could be held inside, but not something built horizontally like a Diplodocus, but rather vertical like a Brachiosaurus or Dreadnoughtus. And in the end, they all agreed that the long-necked Dreadnoughtus would be the next introduction to the park.